Hey there, nation, and welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander Cheapskate, and we are back with another episode of Anarchy Road. This is a series of battle reports that is dedicated to our Road Wars campaign for Necromunda, and in case you're tuning in for the very first time, the Road Wars campaign is a homemade rule set that I made for my gaming group in order to play campaigns in Necromunda and the Ash Wastes. Now, in case you're unaware, the Ash Wastes are huge, expansive wastelands that exist between the different hive cities in Necromunda, and it's kind of like a Mad Max inspired setting because the gangs need to mount up on vehicles in order to traverse the wasteland, and so because of that, we wanted to include vehicle rules in our Necromunda campaign. So I actually wrote up a 60-page document that you can find on my Blogger site that you're free to download. They're totally unofficial rules, but if you want to add some vehicle combat to your game's Necromunda, that is the way to go. So in today's episode number 84, it is a Marauders scenario that's fought between my two friends, Sister Serial as well as Dark Lord Mack. Sister Serial is bringing in Precinct 13, her main force patrol gang, while Dark Lord Mack is bringing in the road crew, his pit slaves gang. So this is going to be a Zone Mortalis scenario that's fought in the underground domes beneath the Ash Waste. We're going to play some background music real quick. As the music is playing, we'll show you photos of both gangs as well as the rosters. If you want to see exactly what they're bringing for this one, go ahead and pause and take a look at your own leisure. So that being said, let's get this battle report on a roll.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dying times here.
So the scenario rules for this one is Marauders. It is a Zone Mortalis scenario. Then for this one, for deployment, there's actually a 6-tile battlefield, and for the crews, the attacker gets 6 chosen fighters, while the defender gets D3+2. The main force patrol are the attackers of the scenario, and the pit slaves are the defender, and the defender has home turf advantage. At the same time, the objective, each enemy fighter that goes out of action for the attacker anyways earns 1 point of victory points. And the attacker has the Bushwhack special objective, and in case you're not aware, you have to roll a D6 to figure out what's your objective as the attacker. In this case, for Bushwhack, you earn 1 additional victory point for champions and 2 for leaders. Now, because the defender is being attacked on their own home turf and they're being attacked that way, they do have what's called desperation special rules, which means the defender automatically passes all bottle tests. And at the beginning of each end phase, the defender earns D3 reinforcements that will deploy 1 inch of a table edge, but not within 12 inches of an enemy fighter, which is good because the pit slaves have allied themselves with the Iron Guild, and so they have a bunch of hive scum they can actually bring with them on the battlefield. Now, when it comes to rewards on this one, the winner earns D6 times 10 credits, while the loser earns D3 times 5. In a case of a draw, both gangs earn D3 times 10 credits. For experience, each participant earns 1 point of experience for participating in the battle, and the winning gang leader also earns a bonus experience point. And when it comes to reputation, whoever actually wins the scenario earns 2 points reputation for their gang, and since both these gangs are fighting each other for the very first time, they both earn plus 1 point reputation, and of course if any gang battles out, they lose 1 point reputation as well. So with the scenario rules over, let's go on and talk about battle plans and deployments. So here's an overhead shot of the entirety of the battlefield. As you can see, my friends are playing on a 3x2 Zone Mortalis table. It's actually really small for this battlefield, so things are looking pretty grim for both of my friends because it's largely close combat oriented. Now, I talked to both of my friends before the actual battle started, and for the most part, Sister Sarah plans on playing offensively this time. She actually ends up planning on using her rookie patrolman to basically act as human shields, while another one of her patrolmen is armed with a assault shield, basically absorbs shots. That way her leader, as well as one of her normal Paladin enforcers, as well as her sergeant, can take people out with long-range shooting. Now, as for my buddy Dark Lord Mack, I asked him what his plan was. His plan is basically to do a pincer attack and try to do a full envelopment. He's going to send up his posse in the bottom left-hand corner forward to attack while doing some long-range shooting with his little fire team on the right-hand side, and whatever hive scum managed to hop up on the battlefield for his reinforcements from his Iron Guild alliance, he plans on attacking from behind as well. Now, unfortunately for this battle report, it is kind of skewed in the pit slaves' favor because pit slaves do very well in close combat. They have very powerful pit slave weaponry that they can use for their servo arms. So my friend Sister Serial does have a work cut out for her. So with the scenario rules over, let's go and talk in the battle plan over, let's go and talk about deployment real quick. Alright, so first of all, let's talk about the road crew real quick. On the bottom left-hand corner, this is Dark Lord Mack's group. In the back left, we have Spartacus. He is a pit slave chief. He's got armor plates, paired shears, as well as a plasma gun. He's also got the commanding presence, escape artist, as well as overseer ability. Right in front of him are two more pit slaves. On the left-hand side, that character is called Buzzkill. He's a pit slave with armor plates. He's got a buzzsaw, a Rocketancy special, as well as a escape artist skill. And right next on the right-hand side is Val the Impaler, another pit slave. He's got armor plates, rock drill, a Rocketancy special, as well as escape artist. And all the way up in the front, that character's name is Gannacus. He is a pit fighter, which is a champion level fighter. He's got armor plates, twin shears, he's got rain of blows, as well as escape artist skill. And finally, in the far right-hand corner, making up a three-man fire team. In the right-hand side, that is Mayday. She is a Techno. She's got a last gun, escape artist, as well as fixer skill. Next to her on the left-hand side, that is Doc Dealgood. He is a servitor. He's got armor plates, shears, heavy stubber. He's also got the industrial machine ability, as well as escape artist skill. And next on the left-hand side, that is Crixus, another pit slave. He's got armor plates. He's got shears, a Rocketancy special, as well as escape artist. And off to the side, of course, we have our D3+2 Hive Scum from the Iron Guild, and we'll call upon what those guys are equipped with as they show up on the battlefield. Now let's go talk about deployment for Precinct 13 of the Main Force Patrol. So on the starting on the left-hand side in the back, that is Judge Roop. He is a subjugator sergeant. He's got armored undersuit, layered flak armor. He's got an SLHG assault ram with a grenade launcher that fires frag and gas grenades. He's also got a stub gun with dum-dum rounds, a fighting knife, as well as a respirator and the teamwork skill. Right in front of him, that character's name is Judge Tulok. He is a subjugator patrolman. He's got armored undersuit, layered flak armor. He has an assault shield, a stub gun with dum-dum rounds. On the back, on the right-hand side, that is Judge McAfee. He is a Paladin captain. He's got an armored undersuit, flak armor, enforcer bolt gun, stub gun with dum-dum rounds, knife, and respirator. He's also got the teamwork skill. And also right next on the right-hand side, that is Judge Goose. He's a Paladin patrolman. He's got armored undersuit, flak armor, an enforcer bolt gun with stub gun, dum-dum rounds, as well as a knife and a respirator. And in front of him are two new judges. On the left-hand side, that is Judge Hobbs. He is a Paladin rookie patrolman. He's got armored undersuit, flak armor, stub gun with dum-dum rounds, and a knife. And right next on the right-hand side is Judge Calvin, who's actually equipped exactly the same. And that pretty much makes up deployment for this one. So with deployment over with, my friends roll off for initiative to see which of them has priority. So that takes directly to the top at turn number 1, and the main force patrol managed to get the initiative on this one. So the very first thing that Sister Serial does is that she activates Judge McAfee. He does a group activation using his teamwork ability. So because, as you can see in this photo, both Judge Hobbs and Judge Calvin both do double sets of movement forward right past that little void there on the right-hand side, taking point. Meanwhile, Judge McAfee as well as Judge Goose just move with their normal moonalounds, and they open fire with their bolt guns. Unfortunately for them, though, they miss with their bolt guns, so not much really happens. So from there we go directly to my friend Dark Lord Mack. He once again does a group activation with Spartacus, his pit slave chief, and using his commanding presence ability also activates Gannacus as well as Buzzkill and Val the Impaler. So Gannacus, of course, does two simple movements forward, moving as quickly as he can directly towards the two judges in front of him. Meanwhile, Buzzkill, Val the Impaler, as well as Spartacus, they move up their normal moon allowance and try to open fire, but unfortunately for them, though, they all missed their shots. Either they just failed to, actually they just failed to hit, is what it was for most of these guys. It was actually pretty crazy watching both Sister Serial and Dark Lord Mack kind of fumble their roles. It was kind of funny, but you know, I'm the arbitrator trying to stay impartial here. So from there, my friend Sister Serial then activates Judge Roop, who also has a group activation with Judge Tulok. Judge Tulok does a double movement forward, going as quickly as he can in that little space in the hallway, using his assault shield as cover. And then meanwhile, my friend Sister Serial then activates Judge Roop, who opens fire with a gas grenade, actually. Lobs it right directly at Gannacus as he originally tried to shoot, but unfortunately for her, though, she missed her shot and actually scattered, and it landed smack dab right between Val the Impaler as well as Gannacus and the empty space in between. Like I said, everyone is failing their shooting this turn. It's really, really bad. So from there, we then go to Dark Lord Mack, who does an activation with Doc Dealgood, his servitor. His servitor actually does a simple action move up normal, his normal 6-inch movement allowance forward. He does a basic action open fire with his heavy stubber directly into Judge, I believe that's Judge Calvin, Judge Hobbs, I'm sorry. Now, he does manage to hit him with the stubber. However, the heavy stubber fails to wound Judge Hobbs, so Judge Hobbs is perfectly fine from the gunshots. Like I said, everyone's shooting is pretty lackluster this turn. However, because he's within an inch of that void, though, he does have to test for his initiative to see he falls off the edge, and this is where he makes a mistake. Since the Serial fails Judge Hobbs' initiative check, so because he does fall into the void and goes automatically out of action, so she rolls up on his lasting injury table, actually rolls a spinal injury for that fighter. So because that Judge Hobbs now is strength 2, and he also goes in recovery, which also nets the very first blood for the pit slaves in this scenario. And since the rest of the turn is dedicated to Dark Lord Mack, because he only has got fighter lefts, he does activate Mayday, does a basic action aim with her last gun, another basic action with fire, but she misses her shot. And then lastly, he then activates Crixus, his pit slave, who does a double move right behind Doc Dealgood and taking cover. And that pretty much makes up the action phase for this one. So with that, we go directly to the end phase. At the beginning of the end phase, of course, Dark Lord Mack does get reinforcements. He actually gets 2 Hive Scum that actually show up on this one. When he rolled to see exactly how many Hive Scum he actually end up with this fight, he rolled a 1, so because he ends up with 3 Hive Scum, and 2 of them actually show up. On the left-hand side, that is the Pig Killer. These Hive Scums are with mesh armor. He's got a shotgun with solid scatter shot, as well as an axe. He's also got smoke grenades, and right next to him on the right-hand side, that is Tova. He's another Hive Scum. He's got mesh armor, a stub gun with dum-dum rounds, an axe, as well as smoke grenades as well. So this takes directly to the end of turn number 1. Here's an overhead shot of the entirety of the battlefield. As you can see, not much is really going on. Not much shooting taking place. As close quarters as this really is, the shooting is absolutely horrible for my friends. They've just been failing their hit rolls, and I feel really, really bad for them. So as you can see in this photo, though, the main force patrol is in trouble, though. They're slowly getting surrounded. They got Sparkicus as his fire team moving up the left-hand side, as well as Doc Dealgood, Mayday, as well as Crixus coming up the right-hand side, and now they got 2 Hive Scum coming up from behind them as well. So at the end of turn number 1, we go directly to the top at turn number 2, and both of my friends roll off for priority to see which of them will have initiative. So with that takes directly to the top of turn number 2, and the Pit Slaves manage to get the initiative on this one. And so for his very first activation, Dark Lord Mack activates Gannacus, his pit fighter. He does a double action charge directly into Judge Calvin, getting that guy engaged in close combat as well, which is actually really bad for him because Gannacus actually got twin pins and shears for his hands. Now, just to give you guys some idea about how powerful Pit Slave weapons are, his shear attack actually has strength +4. He has -4 AP on that, and it causes 3 damage. So those shears are tough. When it comes to Pit Slaves in the campaign are actually very slow moving. They are resilient and strong, and they're really good in close combat, but their shooting game is horrible because most of them can only carry pistols. And in case of a pit fighter like this guy, he gets no shooting attacks. All he has is close combat. So because of that, if the Pit Slaves engage in close combat, they're going to cause you some problems. Not to mention, on top of that, Gannacus is already kitted out for close combat already as it is. In case you didn't look at his stats, he's actually got +3 weapon skill. He's got strength of 4, 5 toughness, 3 attacks. He's also got 2 weapons, so that means he gets 3 attacks base. He charges 4, gives him a 4th one. Paired weapons gives him 5, and he's also got rain of blows too. So Gannacus is a beast. And in case of my gushing did not give away, Judge Calvin does not survive the encounter. He actually gets an out cold result, goes immediately out of action just from the attacks that Gannacus launched onto him. Like I said, very, very deadly to let the Pit Slaves get you in close combat. So with that, we go directly to the next activation for Sister Serial. She does a group activation with Judge McAfee, who also activates Judge Goose. Now, Judge Goose goes first, and because a Necromunda rules state you have to shoot the closest target towards you, he actually aims his guns directly into Gannacus. He opens fire, actually rolls 3 hits on the rapid fire dice. Was able to hit him all 3 times and wound him all 3 times as well. Unfortunately for Sister Serial, though, when she rolled the roll up on the injury, she rolled 2 seriously injured die rolls. So because that, Gannacus does go crashing face down to the ground. He is currently bleeding out, and he's also vulnerable to being charged against with a coup de grace. But if he does manage to roll a flesh wound, he'll be able to get back on his feet again and fight. Now, as for Judge McAfee decides to go after the next dangerous target, which is the Pig Killer, located in the upper right hand side. He opens fire with his bolt gun, hits him once, wounds him once, and also puts 2 wounds on him, puts another serious injury on that fighter as well. Unfortunately for Sister Serial, though, she does roll an ammo check for that rapid fire dice, so because of that, she will only take a simple action to reload. Now, there is some good news about that, though. Because she's playing main force patrol in our campaign setting, she doesn't have to worry about the beg, borrow, and steal special rule. Beg, borrow, and steal was a game mechanic I built into our campaign setting, which basically states that if you're using any weapon that doesn't specifically come from the Ash Wasteland weapons table, your ammo roll automatically becomes a 6-up. I built that game mechanic to represent the fact that ammunition is hard to come by in the Ash Waste, but because Sister Serial is playing main force patrol and they're basically police officers under the command of Lord Helmore, they get regular shipments of ammunition all the time, so because of that, she gets to still keep her normal ammo roll as always. So with that, we go directly to Dark Lord Mack. Dark Lord Mack activates, once again, Sparkicus, who does a group activation using Commanding Presence ability on Buzzkill as well as Val the Impaler. Now, Buzzkill and Val the Impaler do double action charge 4 directly into Judge Tulok. Unfortunately for Val the Impaler, though, he fails his charge distance, so he only moves up, I think, 6 inches what he ends up doing, while as Buzzkill makes the full 7 inches and lands directly into Judge Tulok, engaging him in close combat as well. Unfortunately for Dark Lord Mack, though, Buzzkill failed to put any wounds directly onto Judge Tulok, and Judge Tulok, oddly enough, failed to put any wounds back with his counterattack. As for Sparkicus actually moves a little bit to the normal simple movement action to the right hand side, so that way it's got a good clear line of sight directly to Judge Roop. He opens fire with his plasma gun, manages to hit him, but unfortunately for him though, he only manages to put a flesh wound directly onto him. So because of that, Judge Roop is now currently pinned. He is 1 toughness less, so he's only toughness 2 now, but he still can fight, can still shoot, so that still makes him a pretty deadly opponent, all things considered. So from there we go back to Sister Serial. She then activates Judge Tulok. He actually does a basic action to do close combat against Buzzkill. Managed to take him out with a serious injury with that assault shield of his. So because of that, Buzzkill does go crashing face down to the cold decking, and he is currently bleeding out as well, and Open being taken out of action with a coup de grace. So for his next activation, Dark Lord Mack then activates Doc Dealgood. Doc Dealgood moves up his normal moon allowance, so that way he's within a couple inches of Gannacus to lend some support for recovery. At the same time, she also opens up with her heavy stubber, and unfortunately for her though, she missed her shot. She actually only rolled up a 1 for the rapid fire dice, and that went clear off to the right. I think she rolled a 2 for the shot. So because of that, no harm, no foul takes place. So with that, we go to Sister Serial. She then activates Judge Roop. Judge Roop does a simple action to get back up on his feet again from escaping pinning, and another simple action to move up, and I put a coup de grace directly onto Buzzkill. Puts a grievous injury on that fighter, so because that Buzzkill automatically goes in recovery, and that's the first blood for the main force patrol. So we then go to Dark Lord Mack. Dark Lord Mack then activates the Pig Killer. The Pig Killer does a simple action to get back on his feet again because he was only pinned moments before, and does another simple action to basic action, to open fire with his shotgun. He fires a solid slug directly towards Judge McAfee, but unfortunately though, he misses his shot, so nothing much happens there. However, Dark Lord Mack then activates Tova. Tova does a simple action move up forward to lead it with the Pig Killer, and a basic action open fire with his stub gun with dum-dum rounds. Now he does manage to hit Judge Goose with that bullet, but he fails to wound him. However, because Judge Goose is so close to that void, though, he does have to take an initiative test, and unfortunately for Sister Serial, she fails the initiative test, so he goes falling directly into the void, goes out of action as well. Now, there is some good news though. When she rolls up for this last injury table for him, she actually rolled out cold, so because it makes a full recovery, no problem. And for Dark Lord Mack, he also suffered ammo roll on that one, so because of that, he will need to roll a 6-up in order to reload that gun. So with that takes directly to the end phase, and for the very last of the reinforcements coming in for the Pit Slaves is Dromos. He is a hive scum, he's got mesh armor, he's armed with a chain glaive, he's also got a smoke grenade as well as what he's packing. And with that, we go directly to the recovery phase. So Dark Lord Mack rolls up an injury die for Gannacus. Actually rolled a serious injury for him. So because of that, he decided to actually re-roll that value again because he's within 3 inches of Doc Dealgood. And when they roll it the second time, though, he rolls another out-of-action result. So because of that, the second one stands. So because of that, Gannacus actually goes out of action with an out-cold result, so he makes a full recovery, no problem. But at the same time, though, that's one less fighter he has in the battlefield. And that takes directly to the end of turn number 2. Here's an overview shot of the entirety of the battlefield. As you can see, things are not looking very good right now for the main force patrol. They only got 3 fighters left over, and the Pit Slaves are slowly swarming towards them from the left, the right, as well as behind. So it's only a matter of time before they're completely surrounded and overran. So things are not looking good right now for Sister Serial whatsoever. And I did forget to mention this. I forgot to take a photo of it. Mayday also does a double movement forward to go towards the center, towards Dark Dealgood and Sparkicus. I forgot to mention that, so I do apologize. So from there, we go directly to the top of turn number 3, and once again, the Pit Slaves get to go first on this one. So for Dark Lord Mack's very first activation, he activates Val the Impaler. Val the Impaler charges directly into close combat with Judge Roop, and also engages him in close combat with his rock drill. And unfortunately, Sister Serial had no problem whatsoever putting him out of action with that rock drill attack as well. Also, to make things worse, also puts an eye injury directly into Judge Roop, which means he has now -1 to his ballista skill as well, and he also goes into recovery. So not to be outdone, Sister Serial then activates Judge Tulok. Judge Tulok charges directly into Val the Impaler and engages him in close combat, which is actually a pretty good combination. The fighter does have armored undersuit with layered flak armor. He's also got an assault shield and a stub gun with dum-dum rounds, so he is packing multiple attacks. So because that directs his attack directly into Val the Impaler, does manage to hit and wound him. However, the only problem though is I should only be able to put a flesh wound directly onto Val the Impaler as well. So you might be thinking, well, that's awesome, but the problem though is that Pit Slaves, most of them have toughness 4 as standard, just like Val the Impaler does. So because he is toughness 3 now, while he is a little bit easier to wound over toughness 5, it still puts him on equal footing with Judge Tulok, which is never a good thing. So with that, Dark Lord Mack that activates Crixus. Crixus charges directly into Judge Tulok, and because Judge Tulok is now, of course, outnumbered on this one, he actually gets benefits to his attacks now with assistance as well. And that's a really bad combination because Crixus also is strength 5, and he has shears for his Pit Slave weaponry. Needless to say, he just one-shot kills Judge Tulok and puts him directly out of action as well. But luckily for Sister Sarah, though, she rolled out cold for Judge Tulok, so he makes a full recovery with no problems whatsoever. So with that, we go directly to Sister Serial. Sister Serial only has the one fighter left, which is Judge McAfee. So with the yellow in the air, she decides to charge forward. She actually sends Judge McAfee directly into Tova and engages him in close combat. Now, Judge McAfee does manage to hit Tova, but unable to wound him, though, however. So because of that, he's perfectly fine. But because he's so close to the edge, he does have to take an initiative test, and Tova fails his initiative test, and he falls directly into the void as well and automatically goes out of action with a full recovery. And the reason why is because he's a hive scum, he always comes back as well. So with that, Dark Lord Mack then activates Dromos. Dromos charges directly into Judge McAfee and attacks him with that Chain Glaive. Unfortunately for Dark Lord Mack, though, he failed his attacks, and at the same time, Judge McAfee also failed his counterattacks back, and so because of that, two of them are still engaged in close combat. So because of that, Dark Lord Mack then decides to activate the Pig Killer. The Pig Killer charges forward directly to Judge McAfee, engages him in close combat as well, and unfortunately for the Pig Killer, though, he does fail to wound Judge McAfee. However, Judge McAfee has no problem whatsoever putting the hurting right back on the Pig Killer and puts a serious injury on that guy as well. So because of that, the Pig Killer is on the ground and he is currently bleeding out on the ground and open to being taken out with a coup de grace. So with that, that takes directly to the end of turn number 3. As you can see, things are falling apart right now for Sister Serial. She only has the one fighter left with Judge McAfee. Oddly enough, when she rolled up for her break test, for her bottle test, she rolled a 5, which means that she's perfectly fine, does not have to worry about bottling out. So because of that, perfectly fine, no harm, no foul as well. And at this point, we all thought that she was going to give up, but she's like, no, forget that. I am not surrendering. She's like, I don't want to take the -1 to my reputation points for bottling out. I'm going to see this through. So because of that, we go another round. So that takes directly to the top of turn number 4, and the main force patrol get the initiative on this one. And Sister Serial, man, she brought the pain. So the first thing she does, she activates her one only fighter, which is Judge McAfee, does a basic action to attack Dromos in close combat. Not only does she manage to hit the guy, but she also managed to put a wound on him as well, and put an out of action result right off the bat. So because that Dromos goes out of action, he makes a full recovery no problem because, you know, he's a hive scum, no harm, no foul there. And because she's got one more set of actions to activate, she then puts a simple action directly on the Pig Killer and takes him out of action as well. So just like that, Judge McAfee, man, took out 2 fighters all by himself. Woo! You do not mess with main force patrol Paladin enforcers, man. They are no joke. However, though, it does come to an inevitable conclusion. Doc Dealgood gets activated next for the Pit Slaves. He opens fire with his heavy stubber, actually managed to hit Judge McAfee once, and because of that, he does fail to wound Judge McAfee, but because Judge McAfee is so close to the edge, he has to take an initiative test. And unfortunately for him, though, he fails that initiative test, and he also falls into the void as well, getting an out-of-action result. So when Sister Serial rolled up on the series injury table, actually rolled another out-cold results because that Judge McAfee is perfectly fine, and that's a fitting because he does really really epic taking out those 2 fighters as well. At the same time, my friend Dark Lord Mack does also roll up an ammo roll for Doc Dealgood, which means he has to roll a 6 up to reload that weapon. But it really doesn't matter because that takes us directly to the end of the game with a victory for the Pit Slaves on this one. So it was a valiant effort from the main force patrol. They did a really good job fighting as best they can. However, though, the Pit Slaves pulled out a victory in the end. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go directly to the post game because this battle report is now officially over.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
All right, now it's time for the post game. So starting off with Precinct 13 of the main force patrol, actually, Sister Serial lost all 6 of her fighters. So let's go and talk about the injuries real quick. So Judge McAfee, Goose, Tulok, and Calvin all make full recoveries because all they had were out cold results. For Judge Roop, though, he automatically goes in recovery with an eye injury. So he has -1 to his ballistic skill, meaning he's ballistic skill 4 now. At the same time, Judge Hobbs also goes in recovery with a spinal injury, meaning that he has -1 to his strength. He's only strength 2 now. For advancements, Judge McAfee did level up to level 3, earning +1 to his ballistic skill. So now he has ballistic skill and weapon skill 3 up. Now from their territories, for the Precinct House, they earn 1 point of reputation as well as 50 credits, and they automatically avoid starvation because they're being supported by Lord Hillmore. Now the Trading Post, they got 10 credits from the scenario as well as 50 credits from the territories. And in the post game, Sister Serial decided to make an alliance with the noble house of House Ulanti. As this campaign goes, the main force patrol guys can take alliances if they want to, especially from noble houses. So in this case, what ended up happening is that the main force patrol, narratively speaking, made a call to to Lord Helmwar, so Lenhorn Ward sent down one of his court advisors in order to help out the main force patrol to maintain law and order in the Ash Wastes. Now, because of that, from the excess of wealth benefit from House Atlanti, they actually earned 80 credits from that ability, giving them a grand total of 140 credits in total. With those 140 credits, they spent 125 credits hiring a new subjugated patrolman named Judge Briggs, and they armed him with light-eared flak armor, an assault shield, as well as a stun gun and dum-dum rounds. They took the remaining 15 credits and they put it directly into the stash, and at the same time, they also gained House Atlanti court advisors to assist them in their next scenario. Now, for the reputation, they earned 1 point of reputation from their territories, as well as 1 from the scenario, earning 10 points of reputation in total. Their new record now is at 1 win and 4 losses, and their new gang rating now is at 1,920 points. So from there, we go directly to the road crew of the Pit Slaves. For Dark Lord Mack, he actually suffered 2 injuries on this one. That was Gannacus as well as Buzzkill. Gannacus make a full recovery because he got the all-cold result. However, Buzzkill, though, suffers a grievous injury. Now, for advancements, none of the members of the gang actually advance at this time. And from their territories, from their Wasteland territory, they earn 1 point of reputation as well as fighting mutant animals. So because of that, they avoid starvation, and they're able to scrounge in 15 credits from that. From the Urchins territory, they're also able to score 26 credits from that territory. And because they won this scenario, they also got a brand new piece of territory. In this case, they actually rolled up a workshop. A workshop gives them 2d6 times 10 credits, as well as an ammo jack hanging around for free. They got 80 credits from that territory, and they also got Ragnar the Hammer, who is an ammo jack, who's equipped with a combat shotgun, as well as a power hammer, which is great because now that they have that character, they can actually make normal ammo rolls now for all of their weapons in the future. Now, from the training post as well, they earned 121 credits from their territories, as well as 20 credits from their scenario. 50 credits from the scenario, as well combined with the 41 credits from their stash, gave them 212 credits in total. With those 212 credits, they actually hired 2 new pit slaves named Nostromo and Slulako. Those 2 characters are armed with hammers, power hammers for their pit slave weaponry. They also have stub guns with dum-dum rounds, and they also have armor plates. And because they have the experience special rule, they automatically get to roll up on the experience table, in which case both fighters actually got +1 to their weapon skills. Well, they're now weapon skill 3 right off the bat. Then they took the 2 remaining credits they had left over and put it in the stash, and they still maintain their alliance with the Iron Guild. For the reputation, they earn 1 point of reputation from the territories, as well as 2 points of reputation from the scenario, earning them a grand total of 14 reputation total. Their new record now is at 2 wins and 3 losses, and the new gang rating now is at 2,335 points. So that's good for this one, you guys. As always, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. Your guys' input is invaluable to us as always. Also check us out on Facebook, Instagram, as well as blogger.com for all the latest greatest hobby news related to our channel. That's good for this one, you guys. We'll catch you guys next one. Peace out and stay classy.